Going to read The Cod's Tale by Mark Kurlansky. Do any of you know what a cod is? Have you ever? Maybe if you go fishing, you know what a cod is. Maybe you've seen it. Maybe you've eaten it. Maybe you've just known that there's a type of fish called cod. So this book is called The Cod's Tale by Mark Kurlansky, and the illustrations are by S.D. Schindler. Before we get started, I just want you to think about this question. Do you believe that a fish could change the world? Mark Kurlansky seems to think so. Let's read to find out why. So there is a picture of the cod and the cod's tail. Here we go. Introduction. The biggest school. Fish almost never swim alone. That is why fishermen who has caught one fish will quickly throw his hook or net back in the water and try to catch more. Fish swim, hunt, eat, spend their lives in groups. A group of fish is called a school. This is not because it's a place of learning. It is an old word from Holland that means a crowd. Fish live in crowds. The largest school of fish ever known lived in the Atlantic Ocean off of Canada and in the northeastern part of the United States. So many fish lived in this school that they would bump into one another when swimming. These fish were the Atlantic cod, and they were to become not only the most commonly eaten fish in the Western world, but also one of the most valuable items to trade. Valued like gold or oil, cod played a central role in the history of the North America, and Europe. It was cod that enabled the Vikings to come to North America. The search for cod brought Europeans across the ocean and encouraged the Pilgrims to settle in Massachusetts. It fed African slaves and financed the slave trade. It fed African slaves and financed the slave trade, was the first frozen food, and finally changed the modern laws of sea. Today, cod are no longer plentiful, and its threatened disappearance is a tragedy that could change the lives of many creatures, including man. This is the cod story. So let's stop and think. This introduction starts to explain why Mark believes that fish can change the world. As we read on, we'll learn more details about the events that he mentioned here. The codfish. The Atlantic cod is large and ugly fish. It's often more than 3 feet long and has gray or brown skin, yellow or gold spots on its back, and odd whisker-like feeler hanging from its chin. The cod spends its life swimming with its big mouth open, trying to swallow whatever will fit. It will even eat small young cod. It also eats things that are far less tasty. Styrofoam coffee cups have been found in cod stomachs. Almost any bait or object, even a fish-shaped piece of lead, can attract a cod. The cod's greedy appetite makes it easy to catch. Life cycle. A single codfish will lay millions of eggs. The larger the fish, the more eggs she produces. Fish grow larger every year of their lives. A cod that is 40 inches long can produce 3 million eggs at once, but a cod that is 50 inches long can produce 9 million eggs. The longer a cod lives, the more young cod she can produce. If a cod can avoid fishermen and other predators, it can live for 30 years. By then, it is as large as a man and produces many millions of eggs. For centuries, it was thought that with so many eggs, cod would always be plentiful. But now we have learned that this isn't true. Most of the eggs do not survive. In the ocean world, in which big fish eat smaller fish and smaller fish eat still smaller ones, it's very dangerous for the smallest creatures. Cod eggs are the size of a very small bead and float unprotected near the ocean's surface. 2 weeks after the eggs arrive, almost all of them have been eaten or destroyed by storms. The few surviving eggs hatch into tiny cod. They're extremely hungry and must eat constantly so that they can grow. At first, they eat phytoplankton, creatures so small that they appear not as individual animals, but as a cloud in the water. After a few days of eating, the cod are large enough to eat the slightly bigger zooplankton. Days later, still not an inch long, they are large enough to eat krill, which resemble tiny shrimp. But there is competition for this food. Herring, mackerel, and other small fish also eat krill, and while they're at it, they eat the baby cod. The humpback whale, with its huge open mouth, moves through the water like a factory-sized scoop. After a few weeks, the surviving cod are about 1.5 inches long and translucent. They are called juveniles and are big enough to leave the dangerous surface of the ocean and dive to the bottom of the sea. There they look for rocks and other places to hide from the larger fish that hunt them. Enemies. If the young cod can stay alive for the first years, they will now be big enough not to fear other fish that swim above them. The cod can swim up and eat smaller fish or dive to the bottom and eat mussels and other shellfish. As one of the larger fish, few animals will eat a fully grown cod, but they still have 2 deadly enemies. One is the seal. Seals love to eat cod, but they do not like the bones, so they bite the cod's belly and throw away the rest. The other, more deadly enemy of the cod is man. People will eat almost every part of the cod. Some think the head is the most flavorful part, especially the cheeks and the part under the chin that sometimes gets called the tongue. People also eat the eggs, stomach, and liver. Oil from the liver is given to children because it's rich in vitamins. Funny story, my husband just told me yesterday how he had to eat fish oil as a kid. His mom would make him take shots of fish oil, and he said that he would be so dramatic about it and pretend like he was dying because it doesn't taste good. Most agree that the oil has a horrible taste. In Scotland, cod liver is stuffed in cod stomachs and called crap and muggy, a name that sounds as unappealing as the dish itself. In Iceland, they grill cod skin and serve it with butter. And long ago, when people in Iceland were very poor, they sometimes soaked cod bones until they were soft and ate them, too. I don't know about you, but I would not want to eat soaked cod bones.